So here's my quick first impressions of my pre-gnome challenge. This is Ubuntu 18.04 beta 2, and I'm going to be installing this on my work laptop, which I casually use since I have a tower in front of me that I use for work. So sometimes I use my secondary laptop when I have to go to conferences or meetings. I just grab it along, and it's kind of like where I take notes and add some things. So it's used for light use, so I figured I can bear with it with GNOME. Well, actually, Ubuntu's implementation of GNOME, which off the top, it is very nice to look at. I'll give it that. So Rocco, I give you that it is a beautiful desktop, and when I logged in or booted into this and saw the purple theming, opened up the terminal, see the deep purple, it was a shot of nostalgia, and you get bonus points for that. But after some time, it's going to fade, and I'm going to be just stuck with the fact that this is still GNOME, no matter how pretty it looks. And as much as I appreciate the purplish orange design touches, that does wear off sometimes, and I'm probably going to change the color scheme anyways and all that stuff. But I just want to do again a brief overview. So I come in. Let's start with the bottom up. Show applications. This is something that is already was like a pet peeve of mine because it starts off with all, and then you go to frequent to get the things that you want to use frequently. I just thought that you can just blend this all together and have it the frequent sit on top, and then all be right there. Again, from a design standpoint, this is me nitpicking, yes, but these are just some of the nuanced points that make me not want to use GNOME. It's because it's just unnecessarily restrictive and simplistic, oversimplistic. So yeah, so there's that. Look at the icons. Some are, I don't know what this even is. This a game? Okay, I don't know what that is. This is beta, so I'm not going to go too hard and be too critical, but they still have some like the Mines game. Like, it's kind of blurred out. It's kind of somewhat pixelated, not too bad. But these are just, again, some of the things that to me are like, it's 2018, folks. Get the freaking icons right. It's not rocket science. But anyways, so that's that. Again, maybe it's beta. Maybe that would be the theme for this is beta. It's beta. It's beta. I'll keep on telling myself that so I can survive this pre-review. So bottom left. Okay, so here's another thing. I can call on different things, like various apps, and then up here when I go to activities, I can call on various apps too. Don't know why you would just make these two things stay the same. I think from an earlier version of GNOME, they actually did have it, or I don't know if there's just like a Ubuntu's implementation of it. Whoops, definitely don't want to do that right now. So yeah, I just don't understand that implementation of it. I can launch here. I can technically launch here. But I can only go through workspace management here on the top. There's something that I would say that when it comes to GNOME and their design touches that they kind of nailed is this whole effect of like the zoom out effect, and how easy it is to kind of like just drop things in the workspace area. But I would love to see this be combined with this on this side here. And I think that used to be the case. I don't know why that was split up. But going back to the design element here, there's something appealing, something beautiful, something that makes you want to use it when they have this darkening effect, this spotlighting effect, where it's like really dark. They darken everything, and they just have this like just slightly lighter spotlight effect on the app, and you see it more on the if you have a second monitor, you see what I'm talking about, because on the second monitor you see a spotlight effect in the middle, and it makes the screens that you can choose from, the apps or windows you can choose from, makes it pop. So it's such a nice, pleasant experience in that sense. But again, it's not a new thing. I just think that they just mastered it. And then also when you search, that looks really nice. I give them that. That does look pretty nice. I think they did a great job at the white space here, or the light spaces here, to kind of like offer alternative aspects of the search. So top area apps, bottom area here is different little aspects of the menu. I like that a lot. I think they did a great job here. They didn't just use all the space just because they could. They used just enough with spacing where it's visually distinctive, and not at the same time not being lazy, because this is like just basic text. And they could have like made it a little pop a little bit more, but I could see what they're trying to do with the blending, where it's like dark gray. So if you're visually impaired, this might be a little tough on the eyes, but it looks good, and it kind of gives you a summary of where it's all coming from. It's coming from this one app. So this is actually great. Back in the Unity days, I wish they had something like this for the Unity launchers and the scopes and all that kind of stuff. I wish they had like a better implementation of that. And this is, I think, what you wanted to do. And they're not ashamed of doing a straight line here and a straight line there. Whereas the Unity launchers back in the day, they had like a crease looking, and it looked really awkward. So they're just kind of rocking it with the lines. And it's minimalistic, and it works. So I think that's kind of cool. Here, just looking through this, I love what they did with the icons here. And I click on the icon and it tells me what it is. Like I love the icon touch. I click here, same thing. Nothing's too radical here, but I whatever they did in the file managing design, it looks nice. It's almost as nice as Dolphin and how they do it, but it's definitely getting there. Again, by default, this whole area here again is so dated. I wish they would do something with this. I love the color scheme of the stone gray. A lot of people are going dark, the dark gray. They're lightening it up a little bit. Looks nice. Looks great. Here it is with the thing that always made me feel awkward with Unity in terms of the design. It was clumsy, in my opinion. And Ubuntu kind of saves it with transparency. It's how the launcher meets the activities in the top bar. So normally you would see this, be a dark color on a traditional install, like GNOME, vanilla GNOME or previous GNOMEs. And this you could make, clear. And so you would need the GNOME tweak to make this both clear. And that's how you kind of get around that. But it's still, again, you see this crease or you see this overlap of this thick behind launcher bar, and then almost about just half or just over half or about half of that width. The top bar is the height. Top bar height level is about half of the width of the bar here. So it just looks awkward to me that I have this this weird top bar, thin left launcher thick by default. So I guess one way you can fix that is just try to make it just as thin as that. But then now you're rocking with some really small icons, which, to be honest, I actually don't mind small icons. Like, I kind of know visually what these things are, but I get why for some people that's just too small. But I think this is almost the exact same size of like when you have like small taskbar icons, you have that setting. It's about the same. And I don't know. I think that I think it's clumsy to have it so large by default. And the fact that it has this weird crease. And here's the one thing that bothers me, again, with it being uniform or not being uniform, is that when I have the launcher here, you notice that it changes color. It goes clear. Then I launch something here. It's full screen. It darkens. But look what happens when I do auto hide. Watch what happens now. When I pull on it, it goes to the same color scheme as the menu bars. So you see how it's clear. When it's not on auto hide, it just goes with a dark background of the whatever the wallpaper color scheme is. It goes with a darker shade of that, like it is the average color then. But when I go with auto hide, it adopts the color of the menu bar, and I don't know why it's not like just staying. Adopts the color of the menu bar, but makes it, clear, like a transparency there. You see that? That's not uniform. That's not. I actually would prefer that it stays with this color scheme if when I don't have it on auto hide, instead of that darkening shade. So this is like, nothing. It means nothing to the average person, but when people talk about design, and everyone's doing design, everyone's putting a touch on design. I mean, look at Elementary. They're being very successful because they care about design. Look at Solus. They care about design. They put the elbow grease in with that. Plasma. I think Plasma has like the best eye for design than any distribution on average. Collectively, I mean, you think about the landscape and the scale of the size of the organization. GNOME has definitely an innovative touch, and I think they did an amazing job reimagining the future of the desktop. But the tech, their legs are cut from under them when they make terrible decisions, or at least do a bad job at explaining terrible decisions and trying to justify that. And then, talk about simplicity and rip things out and, ship something ugly by default. It's like, thank goodness Ubuntu is doing this little touch-up work, because it would need it. It definitely needs it. So, I guess you can probably get away with something like this, by making it smaller. And then it's not as bad. It doesn't look as awkward to me, at least. So finally, that's kind of like how the app, how the apps interact with, whatever you're using. Finally, go down here. So I went from bottom left, going up, now the middle. I love, again, there's something about having it in the center that just makes sense intuitively. I'm just surprised we haven't done it sooner. So it's great. I love it. No issues here. I wonder if there's something they can do with, like, if there's no notifications, why take up the space? I don't know. Notifications, I think, is, again, oversimplified. You know, if I want to change audio inputs, outputs, that kind of stuff, I have to go here. And I'm sure there's probably some extension that will let me do something easier that way. But, like, I guess with the depending on the person, you know, it wouldn't really matter. Most people don't have multiple inputs, outputs. I do a podcast, so it's like I do have those things to monitor and tweak. Yeah, and so that's really what it comes down to, is just collectively it's hit or miss in terms of design and functionality, and as a whole, it just doesn't add up. This is pretty much like the last reason I'll say. If I put this baby on the bottom, and I can't, I guess, unless I do gnome tweak, possibly, right? I can't drag the launcher here. Can't drag this to the bottom left. How awkward is that? Like, how lazy is that? That's just, again, I just don't understand. I don't. And look at this. I go from here. Oh, I thought I just accidentally stumbled upon something with, you know. It's really, I just don't understand that. Anyways, so that's just my review, with my pre-review or initial impressions. My initial impressions, but also design breakdown and why I think GNOME is not, you know, it's overrated. I'll be nice and say it's overrated. Not to mention the stuff with the leaks, and they're always having some performance issues, large overhead, crashing, despite it being, we're in the 30s now, guys. Like, we're at 3.30 now, folks, and it's 2018, and they're still trying to, like, make it stable, make it clean, and there's no answer. And I kind of, just to kind of wrap up in conclusion, I kind of side with Noah of the Ask Noah show, Jupiter Broadcasting. GNOME has a crisis, I think identity crisis from a design and functionality standpoint, on their hands. They had potential by going with a modular desktop environment strategy with the extensions. And everyone who uses GNOME sings of extensions. They sing the praises of the ability to add extensions and how functional they can be. And I think it's great. But if you don't support or be mindful of the ecosystem of developers behind it, and you leave them behind, you're going to pay a price, and they have paid a price. So now, you get people who are dropping their extension development, and it's going to continue. Things get stale. And if they're going to go to, they haven't even begun talking about GNOME 4, from what I heard. And are they going, and from what I hear, from Noah's impression, is that GNOME 4 is going to burn everything down in terms of GNOME 3. So it's like, either you make GNOME 3 work, and just focus on stability and user input, and rock it out for another 3 to 5 years, and just make that like the standard, and then roll out with GNOME 4, which, I don't know, that's a long commitment for GNOME 3, for the 3 series. Or do you just burn it all down and go GNOME 4, and hopefully learn your lesson, that, you have to keep design in mind, of course, and follow your true north and what you think the desktop should be, but be a little more meet users where they are through options and through things. And so it's easier said than done. I know I'm not a developer for GNOME, but you know, you are one of the largest desktop environments there is. You know, you get the most backing from enterprise. Like, it's not like you don't have money or backing or as the developers. So I think this comes down to like being insightful with the user, with the landscape of user interface design, and being honest with where you are. And I don't think GNOME is at a good place at all. And that's another reason why I wouldn't want to use it full time, although I'm going to give it a spin and, give it a true test. But man, I think they're in a weird spot. And I don't think they're even willing to face it. And that's a bad mix. When you're in a weird spot, bad spot, and you don't want to face it, you're just burning through money, burning through versions, and you can't even make up for your bad decisions with stability. It'd be one thing if you were stable and you're cutting stuff out, but you're cutting stuff out and it's not stable. How is that a thing? How is that possible? How is that something that you could be proud of? I just don't get it. Anyways, I'll stop ranting here. I'll let you guys know how it goes with like maybe a week or two of using GNOME at work on my secondary computer, and I'll keep y'all posted. See ya.